My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to the next chapter of the Jeshua Channelings by Pamela Kribbe. If you are following along with me in the book, we are on page 203, Illness and Health. Dear friends, I welcome you warm-heartedly and send you all my love. I love you all so dearly. My love for you is not only universal in nature, but it also has a personal touch. For I have known many of you when I was here on earth among you. I am Jeshua. I have lived on earth as Jesus, and I have been among people to testify to the love which is available to all of us from the source that lies within ourselves. Now the time has come for you to take over the torch. You are the seeds that blossom today. This is the meaning of the rebirth of Christ. I, the one man who once lived on earth, am not the one who is bound to return. Instead, the universal power of the Christ energy is now being birthed within you. I am so pleased to support you in this process by being with you in this way. At the beginning of this session, Pamela and Garrett asked me which subjects I would like to address, and I told them it does not matter. I just want to be with them. I simply want to touch you with my energy and to remind you of your own greatness. In extending my energy to you, my sole purpose is that you feel the flame of clarity within, the flame of your truth. That is the essence of the Christ energy. I have been an early carrier of this flame, but now it is time for you to carry on the torch. It is important to acknowledge who you are on the inside. You carry this torch with you, and you must realize that the time has come to show it to the world, for the world is waiting for it. This is a time of transformation, a time of great changes, which show many faces, both dark and light. The time is ready for people who have a wider view, who can watch all manifestations of dark and light from a calm and peaceful state of mind, and who are able to be present in love without judgment. That's so interesting. I just saw, I had to clean off some of my hard drive because these recordings take up so much room. The New Light Streaming Love team and I had come up with a segment to do called The Wider View. The time is ready for people who have a wider view, who can watch all manifestations of dark and light from a calm and peaceful state of mind, and who are able to be present in love without judgment. I also feel like that's a nudge that now's the time to launch that. So be on the lookout for that. Back to the book here. Today I will talk about illness and health. But remember, basically, it is my concern to let you feel that I am here, to let you feel that you are equal to me and that I am equal to you. We are one. We are carriers of a particular light energy, and we have been working for a long time, during many lifetimes, to ground this energy and anchor it to the earth. That is your job. That is your mission. The time has come to let go of me as someone you look up to. I am a brother and a friend to you, not a master you should follow. I want you to surround you with the energies of love and truth. That is all I can do. Now it is your turn to stand up for yourself and to let the light of your torches shine. Illness and health. This is a subject that comes up in the lives of all people sooner or later. First, I would like to say something about what illness actually is. All diseases have a spiritual origin. I will explain this by drawing a distinction among the different bodies you have. In addition to the physical body visible to all of you, you also possess an emotional body, a mental body, and something you may call a spiritual body. Illness mainly starts in the emotional body. It is from here that certain blockages settle themselves in the physical body on the material level. Often, beliefs from the mental body contribute to the development of emotional blockages and thus to the manifestation of illness. I am talking of deeply ingrained beliefs or habits of thinking. Often, these are beliefs about what is right and wrong about yourself. Judgments may literally create a blockage in your emotional energy system. At those places where the blockages arise, where the emotional energy is not allowed to flow freely, something of a dark energy becomes visible in the aura. This energy may settle down in the body. It need not necessarily be so, for this process takes quite some time, and there is enough opportunity to turn things into balance emotionally before a disease displays itself. Generally, your emotions tell you when your energy is not flowing. And when you turn your attention to their message and honor it, the blockage gets released. For instance, you may feel upset or angry every time you have to do a particular thing. And if you look more closely at those emotions, they will tell you that you are forcing yourself to do things that do not truly affirm who you are and who you want to be. However, if you systematically ignore your anger and force yourself to do things you truly don't feel good about, then the emotion goes underground, so to speak. It removes itself from your awareness and it expresses itself in your physical body. The repressed emotion is an energy that wants to be heard by you. When it expresses itself through the body, it will manifest as a spiritual complaint. No, sorry, physical complaint. Generally, a physical complaint or illness points at an emotion inside you that you are largely unaware of. The physical symptom makes it visible to you on another level, and in this way, actually helps you get in touch with the blockage. In this way, physical symptoms or pain are the language of the soul. I've always felt since I started, on my quest, that my pain is an alert system that something is unaligned. I have a either erroneous or slightly unaligned opinion, thought, that's taking place. The soul longs for full communication among all of its parts. The soul feels happy when there is a free flow of energy and a continuous renewal of all aspects of itself. Blockages prevent the energy from flowing freely, and that depresses the soul. Illness, thus, has the function of an indicator. It shows you where you are in need of healing. Although illness seems to be negative in the sense that you are bothered by all kinds of symptoms and pains, the key is to interpret illness as a message or a sign point. I'm sorry, a signpost. In doing so, it becomes easier to cooperate with the disease instead of resisting it. The soul has many ways to communicate to you. The soul's favorite way is to speak to you through your intuition, quiet feeling tones, hunches, soft whispers of the heart. If it cannot reach you in that way, you will be alerted by your emotions. The emotions speak a louder language. They clearly show you that you have to look within and find out what is igniting that emotional response. Whenever you are strongly affected emotionally, you need to find out why and what it means to you. That's why I adopted the habit now of, if something actually triggers a reaction rather than a response, I immediately go into questioning myself. And that reaction to something could be to something someone said, to something I heard, to something I'm asked to do. It doesn't really matter what it is. Anytime there is a reaction rather than a response, what in one of the earlier chapters here, Jeshua referred to feelings being the intuition and emotions being the child, and also emotions being explosions of misunderstanding, right? I feel like that's what this is referring to here. Whenever you are strongly affected emotionally, you need to find out why and what it means to you. And my tendency prior to understanding this, a lot of different things actually, and most everyone's go-to immediate thing is to blame the triggerer, whoever said something or did something to set me off. Well, if you just hadn't have said that. But actually, that was the biggest gift they could ever have given me, because it helps me see me if I'm willing to see me. That's the big point. If I'm willing to see that I'm having a strong reaction to something because it is tied to something more than likely from childhood, a trauma of some sort, some programming and conditioning that's been triggered. There's a lot of different things that it could be, but it's never the triggerer. It's the triggeree that needs to look and see what it's tied to. If you become silent and listen carefully, the soul will tell you. If you resist or deny your emotions, the soul will speak to you through your body. The body is an intelligent being, highly responsive to not just the material things like food and liquids you take in, but to the emotions, feelings, and thoughts you have. The body is meant to be a communicator. It is not a mere vessel to dwell in. It has an intelligent function to play in helping the soul express and know itself in matter. How can you learn to understand the language of your soul if it is expressed through the body as an illness? At the moment the disease manifests itself, it may not be clear what message is conveyed by it to you. In fact, you have denied the emotion it represents consistently for a long time. So it is, by definition, not obvious what your illness has to tell you. Understanding the spiritual meaning of the illness is a process. It is a quest, an inner journey on which you gradually restore the communication process. Yeah, because mine had been so broken down actually that I didn't think I had anyone to communicate with. There was no connection. I thought I wasn't connected to my higher self. And my housemate helped me see, Lisa Flamino Rush helped me see that if you're breathing, you're connected because life force equates to soul. To embark upon this journey, you first have to accept your illness. The initial reaction to illness is often one of denial or resistance. You would prefer the disease to disappear as soon as possible because it frightens you. You are scared of failure, decline, imperfection, and ultimately death. I've been asked on more than one occasion for me to have conversations with death to understand that death is a transition, mainly due to all the damage that I have done to this body. 20 surgeries, more than 20 surgeries, having been 490 pounds, just all these kinds of things, right? The body has been terribly damaged. And I had to accept the fact that my body may not be able to handle all the upgrades that are coming. Now, so far, so good. And I keep moving forward feeling that it's going to be fine. But I was asked to consider, so what do you think death is? That kind of thing. Over the entire time that I've been silent, which has really been like 2 years that I've been pretty much silent and away from the channels. The panic that seizes you when you are confronted with physical failure or illness prevents you from opening up to a broader perspective on illness. You could consider illness in another light. You might experience it as a messenger of change, as an invitation to return to something precious that you have lost. To comprehend and cooperate with the quote signpost function of illness, it is very important to say yes to the symptoms and pains which display themselves in your body. In saying yes, in accepting the state of your physical body, and in being willing to listen to the language of your soul through it, you have actually solved half of the problem. The real problem is not the disease itself, but that which it represents, the underlying blockages. The disease buttonholes you, so to speak, and forces you to look at the underlying blockage. In turning to the disease and saying yes with your heart and soul, you will already have solved part of the blockage without even knowing precisely what the disease wants to tell you. Part of the communication is being restored just by your willingness, your patience, and determination to take this inner journey upon you. However, to say yes and embrace the illness is not easy for you. You may find yourself resisting it, being angry or desperate about it, and therefore not listening to what the malfunction is already telling you. Frequently, you get specific clues. For instance, the body's inabilities indicate that you must let go of certain obligations, spend more quiet time by yourself, be less active and more attentive to your needs. Although you may not yet know how to interpret your physical situation from a spiritual level, quite often the behavior that the ailment forces upon you is a big clue. By limiting yourself in certain areas, it is putting a spotlight on things that were in the dark before. How is it with your ability to be patient and gentle with yourself? Hmm. Can you really take good care of your physical and emotional needs? Illness always brings up these questions, and to confront and accept the emotions they arouse is part of the healing process. To really start the healing process, you have to say yes to it all: the pain and the discomfort, the anxiety, the insecurity, and the anger. You have to look it in the eye, be friendly with it, and reach out your hands to it. It is coming to you for healing. And I've said this before: anything that comes for me, that appears to me, including, dark entities that show up in my room, it's here for me. That's a part of me, or it wouldn't be here, and it's here for me to love it into wholeness. I had that happen to me specifically, so I know that this is a true statement here. It is not something you have to get out of the way as fast as possible. It is not a coincidence that it has entered your life now. If you ignore your body's language and you keep resisting the disease, it is very difficult to get through to the spiritual essence and meaning of the disease. There is too much anger and fear surrounding it. You only achieve true inner freedom in coming face to face with your disease, with your pain and discomfort, and also with your feelings of fear and disgust. Embrace them and then ask them quietly and with an open consciousness, what do you want to tell me? In your society, it is not self-evident to be intimate with your own body. Talking to your body like a being that deserves love and respect is not considered to be natural. And this is something that I absolutely do, and I highly recommend. Since I began loving my hair instead of hating the way it looked, it has really just been so beautiful. And regardless what anybody else might think, and I've received so many more compliments, and I'm not doing anything at all. I rolled out of bed and pulled this up. That's it. That's all. I don't comb my hair, I don't brush it. I spent my entire life whipping the crap out of my hair and hating it every step of the way. But as soon as I turned around and started loving on it, and just saying how beautiful it was, and how it just did what, and just allowing it to be, I have not been disappointed. And so for me, this is a very big deal right here, what this is saying. I'm going to say this again. In your society, it is not self-evident to be intimate with your own body. Talking to your body like a being that deserves love and respect is not considered to be natural. You are dished up many idealized images in your society about what your body should look like, what fitness and health imply, and what you should or should not eat and drink. There are all kinds of rules and standards about what a long and healthy life is like. But all these idealized pictures bear no relationship to the path of the soul. The path of the soul is highly individual. This is why I now know that if anybody tells you this is the way to do anything and it's the only way, run. Because there are as many ways as there are beings. It is completely individual path, and it's fun to get together and share what has worked for each other, but it's not to be followed to the letter, because that's not how this works. I mean, that's why it hasn't worked for so many. The path of the soul is highly individual. Therefore, to find the truth about any illness, ailment, or distress that you suffer in your body, you need to tune into yourself in a very intimate way, leaving behind all these general, often artificial standards and rules. You are asked to release all these outside standards and to search for your own truth deep within. And I want to say this here now, too, because it's imperative to do this in these moments of now, as far as I've been told for myself, because there are some things that I might think are an illness or an issue that needs to be evaluated or whatever. And I'm just saying, if you feel you need to go to the doctor, by all means go. Never not do that. I'm also a puzzle piece collector, and I'm seeing multiple folks have the same symptoms, and there's a lot of doctors that are stymied about different things. Like, I know a being who was had gone in because they had a kidney stone, and they were about to do surgery, and they didn't do surgery because they discovered that he had what they, after further testing, decided was a normal abnormal heart rhythm. And I, I was like, okay, wait a minute. What the hell does that mean? And the first thing I got was, well, normal, abnormal, meaning it is abnormal, but there's a shit ton of people with it. So they're thinking it's normal now because they can't find anything else wrong with these people, and they're not in ill health necessarily. That's what I got internally. It's not what was said. And there's a lot, I mean, it's an awful lot of different things like that, that again, for me, seem to be indicate the um, upgrade that is happening within the physical vessel on the planet at this time. And they're just not, don't know what to make of it in a lot of quarters, I think. This is a great challenge to you, for the fear and panic that seize you in the case of an illness make you look too quickly to authorities outside yourself. I think that's true. Boy, it was the way, that was the way for me. You reach out to external authorities for advice and comfort. This may be a medical doctor or an expert in alternative treatment. Basically, it makes no difference. The key is that out of fear, you tend to give up your own responsibility and partially hand it over to somebody else. Well, boy, this really resonated with me because having been in and out of the hospital for months, having more than 20 surgeries, uh, uh, injections in my back, all kinds of the medical misdiagnosis that had happened, all because I sought to put, I mean, I was looking for a diagnosis when it found me. And so I can't be but so upset, right? Because I had abdicated my own power. I'd handed it over to somebody else because he went to school and he knows better and he has the letters after his name, or she, he or she, doesn't matter. Most of mine were male, but I did have a female doctor as well. But and just gave my power right away to them because they were programmed and conditioned in a wholly different way than I was, but I thought they knew better than me, my own body. I paid the price for that too, of course. So it was obviously for the highest good, because at least I now know that I don't have to do that anymore. So, of course, there is nothing wrong with listening to an expert's advice, and quite often this is a very sensible thing to do. But always, you need to take this knowledge inside of you and weigh it with your own heart. Feel whether the advice resonates with you or not. Only you are the true creator of your life, the master of your own body. Only you yourself know what is best for your own body. In the deepest sense of the word, you are the creator of your own body. Since illness represents a stuck emotion that is partly beyond the scope of your consciousness, it is not always easy to understand what the disease or the symptom represents. Sometimes I got to take, this is getting cold and I really want it. Thank you for your patience. Sometimes it seems very hard to find out what the soul is trying to tell you by a specific disease. At this point, you need to go inside and examine yourself thoroughly, in the sense of gradually becoming aware of the kind of energy that manifests itself in the disease and what it is trying to tell you. Regaining intimacy with your own body requires practice. It is not self-evident. Do not give up on it too easily. When you are dealing with persistent complaints, try to examine them once again. Take a moment to relax yourself and then travel with a neutral awareness to the places in your body where the illness is expressing itself. Ask the pain or the disease to take the shape of a living being so that you can talk to it. Ask it to appear as an animal, a child, or a human being, or ask it to appear as a guide in whatever shape. Use your imagination. The imagination is a precious instrument to discover the deepest stirrings of your soul. If you do so, and when you notice that your body answers with images or feelings, you will experience joy. You will feel happiness about the regained intimacy. The body speaks to you, and its role as a communicator is restored. This is a breakthrough. As soon as you realize that you are able to know your body from the inside and that you are the only one who can do this for yourself, you will feel more confident. And this is true. That's why I say, if you are frightened in any way, shape, or form, please don't ever keep yourself from going to the doctor. That is not something I or anyone else has the right to say is better for anyone else, right? And trust me, even though I haven't been to one, if I felt I needed, I would go. However, there's it's just an inside job for each of us. This self-confidence makes it easier for you to feel what the disease is trying to tell you. It prevents you from brushing aside the answers that you receive from your inner self because they do not fit in with general ideas from the outside world. Intimacy with the body is very precious in all circumstances, but particularly when the body is ill or in distress. The way to let your body talk is love. You will not encourage communication with your body if you try to remove the disease by ardently repeating healing affirmations or visualizations to yourself. That is still a form of struggle or resistance. The key is that you come to understand the meaning of the sick part of your body. If you understand this, things will be transformed and emotional blocks can be removed. This is how the healing process works. Not fighting the disease one way or another, but accepting it like a friend who wants to show you the right direction. This is difficult to understand, for illness frightens and distresses you. However, accepting and understanding your illness is the only way to true healing. Illness wants to take you back home. Chronic and terminal illness. The purpose of illness is to obtain a better and deeper understanding of yourself. Once you do this and go along with the inner healing process, physical recovery is often the result. However, it does not always work this way. Some diseases do not appear even when it seems you have gone down to the root. Do not disappear even when it seems you have gone down to the root of the underlying emotional blockage. This is the case with chronic diseases. In the case of a chronic disease, there are persistent physical problems that keep recurring, especially during vulnerable periods in which you more or less lose touch with your inner self. The symptoms recur, sometimes even at an increasing degree. This can be quite demoralizing. Therefore, it is important to consider the disease from a broader perspective. People with a chronic disease undertake quite an arduous task. On the soul level, they have agreed to confront the fears that come up in the context of their illness and to confront idealized pictures of how someone should perform in life. To take up this challenge shows great courage. It often happens that a soul chooses a chronic disease to work out a specific issue in a highly focused way. The disease throws you back on particular emotions each time. There is an emotional pattern that accompanies the illness. To deal with these emotions time and again is quite a heavy task, but it bears many fruits for the soul. Quite often, these lives have a great profundity and an inner richness that is not always noticeable to others. Therefore, it is not supportive to constantly strive or hope for an improvement of the medical condition. The fact is that the disease often proceeds in a spiral movement, helping you grow on the inner level in circular movements upwards, although apparently you relapse into the same physical symptoms each time. On the spiritual level, you do not fall back, but you reach ever greater depths in dealing with emotions that possibly have been overlooked by you in the past, even in past lives. This also applies to hereditary or congenital physical defects. In this respect, you sometimes speak of karma, but I am careful with this concept, as you have a tendency to associate karma with crime and punishment. This is not how it works. The soul has the sincere desire to know itself to the fullest and to be free. This is its deepest desire. Starting from this ardent wish, the soul sometimes undertakes ailments, diseases, and physical defects which help it reach its aim. It is certainly not a question of paying off your debts. It is a deep intent to be set free, and sometimes the best way to get there is to experience extremely difficult circumstances within your body. This is never a truer statement has been made here, for me anyway. My goodness. For this intention, we can only have the greatest respect, especially in your society where inhuman ideal images are cherished as to how to be functional, useful, beautiful, and successful. These idealistic ideas make it even more difficult to live your life with a handicap and to nevertheless experience it as meaningful and joyful. I finally want to say something about incurable terminal diseases. Sometimes it will be obvious that someone will not survive a disease anymore. The body gradually succumbs to the disease. The quote, earthly frame does not persist. At that moment, what does the soul that finds itself within the body do? As long as you keep resisting the disease, you cannot get in touch with your soul and your inner knowing that tells you that it is time to say goodbye. Sometimes you sense in advance that you have to leave, but the idea strikes you with such horror and sorrow that you keep on fighting, which is, I think, why I was asked to really feel into it for myself. What do you truly believe, Sheila, that death is? And really look at it. And I was very much communicated with from the outside because I I was nudged to watch the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I really didn't understand the ending all the way through until my housemate, it turned out she didn't either, and she happened to find in her field an interview with Stanley Kubrick that explained the ending, and I was like, "Oh my God, yes, that is what I was trying." I I halfway slept through the ending because I feel like it was so much I was taking in that I didn't quite grasp it until I saw that interview and I was flashed some of the scenes and I was, oh, okay, now I get it. I get it. So I'm going to read this part again here. Sometimes you sense in advance that you have to leave, but the idea strikes you with such horror and sorrow that you keep on fighting. You are eager to try another treatment or wait for that new medicine to be launched. This is quite understandable, and I certainly do not want to condemn this attitude, but you are hurting yourself in a terrible way. If you let go and allow death to come closer, you will notice that death is not an opponent, but instead is a friend. Death releases you from the struggle. If you go along with what death wants to tell you, you will pass through several stages before the actual process of dying takes place. These stages have to do with a gradual release of all earthly things, of your beloved, of your earthly surroundings, of your senses with which you observe everything around you. This is a beautiful, natural process. It would be a pity to overshadow this process by an attitude of battle in which you try to hold on to life at any expense. I was also gifted the experience of having a being in my life, my great grandmother, who wanted to live as long as she could be kept alive, breathing on a machine. She didn't care. She did not want to go. And so I saw what that was like. And for 3 months at the end of her life, she basically wasn't there. Um, in and out of a coma. It seemed to me as though she were clinging on to that body, uh, and there was no quality of life there because she was in the hospital. Often by then, the body has already become so fragile that life is not worth living anymore. Let it go. Death is a liberator who is there to serve you. Death is not your enemy. Death brings you new life. When you are with someone who is incurably ill, and when you feel that person knows that they are going to die, try to talk about it softly and carefully. It is a relief to the person who is passing over. The dearest and most precious thing you can do for a dying person is to sit next to them and hold their hand. There is nothing else. Makes me want to cry because I happen to know that my stepmother and my sisters were present for my dad's passing, and they were able to hold his hand. And it just makes me so glad that they witnessed that in love and presence for him. And I would wish that for all beings. There is nothing else you need to know or to be able to do in accompanying a dying person. Terminal care is very important in your society. One day, all of you will face this within your own family or your circle of friends. Simply be present with a dying person and feel the journey that is arriving. Feel the mighty, and this feels powerful, the mighty, powerful moment in which the soul leaves the body and returns to the other realms, to its home. Do not consider a disease that leads to death as an enemy. I'm crying because of the beauty that I feel here, not for any kind of sadness, but the absolute precious beauty and, oh, thank you, sacred honor, actually, to be present for that kind of a situation, which I wasn't for my grandmother, and I wish I had been. Do not consider a disease that leads to death as an enemy who you will lose to in the end. It is not a battle. Quite frequently, death comes to release you from even more pain and misery. You are certainly not a loser. You will simply continue your path in another way. Sometimes there are particular issues you would have liked to live through or overcome during this life, and these issues cannot be finished. This may distress you, and not just you, but those who stay behind as well. Nevertheless, I ask you to leave this in peace. For there is a deeper wisdom at work that is guiding you and will bring you and your loved ones together in new and better circumstances. One day you will be together again and will celebrate life. I do feel like that's a true statement too. Today, my biggest plea with regards to illness is to really embrace your illness. Surround the illness with love and awareness and let it lead you into a deeper understanding of yourself. Entrust yourself to the illness and allow yourself to enter into a more profound communication with yourself. Surrender does not mean to be passive or bitter about your illness, but to cooperate with it in an active way, like a friend. I embrace you all with my love, and I ask you to feel my presence today, the presence of the Christ energy. Feel the love available to all of you in sickness and in health. There is so much love everywhere around you, and you can feel it as soon as you let go of your judgments. You have so many judgments about what you do and don't deserve, about what you are doing right and what you are doing wrong, about all the things you still have to do and achieve. Let it go. Love is present here and now for all of you. Wow. This was a great one. That's the end of this chapter, and I will be back with the next one. I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It is a matter of perspective and perception of that perspective. And if you feel that there isn't any joy to be had in that moment, for me, I take a breath. I step out of whatever perspective I'm in and try to see it from a different one, because there's always more than one way to see a thing, to do a thing. Till next time, be well, my friends.